Hi, it's Andrew Franklin with the Franklin team. Today I'm going to talk about why transactions fall through and the most common reasons and how we navigate those three most common reasons. The first reason transactions fall through is buyer's emotional state. Them moving too fast or having second thoughts about a property. There's not a ton we can do about this topic, but the things we try to do at the Franklin team is we ask a lot of questions about the buyer's situation, their loan, have they bought a house before, do they have a home to sell? And so we're trying to investigate how serious the buyer is. Are there any hurdles that is going to stop them from moving forward? And although we can't do a ton about this one because it's going to happen, we do try to learn from the buyer before we accept a contract and go under contract and take the house off the market or move it into pending. So we do what we can here, but this one is going to be tough to navigate, but it's something that we try to avoid it when we can. The second is probably the most common reason transactions bust through, and that is the inspection period. In our market, you're going to get a 10-day inspection period as a buyer, and it's going to be for a very nominal price, anywhere typically from $100 to $250, maybe at a higher price point, $500. The buyer gets a 10-day period where they do inspections and they can back out during that period of time. This is when they're going to get a 3 to 4 hour inspection, and they're going to come back to us with a repair request or a repair credit as the listing agent. The buyer agent is going to come to us, and this is where we negotiate repairs. With the inspection, this is stuff we can't avoid just because of our experience level. We look at a lot of inspection reports, and we know what's normal and what happens in all inspection reports. You always see certain items that aren't a big deal, like the sprinklers not working. There's some items that inspectors always like to put on a report, and we can educate the buyer and the buyer's agent why these things aren't a big deal. Or we have our professional repair people that can help. So there's a lot of times, a buyer gets an inspection and they sort of freak out a little bit because it has 60 pages of items. But a big job of us as the listing agent is to try to educate the buyer of why these aren't issues, or bring in other professionals. If there's a foundation issue, bring in a structural engineer, and just sort of educate the buyer why the house is still in very good shape. And this is an item, although is the most common item to cause a busted transaction, this is an item as our very experienced team can deal with and avoid those pitfalls. The third and final most common reason we see for transactions to bust through are appraisals. This is something in our market where we're seeing values go up and getting multiple offers and things selling in record time and bidding wars. We're running into this issue quite often, more than we have in many years. And so when we do have an appraisal issue, there's a couple options. We can negotiate the price. We can ask the buyer to bring more cash to the table, or we can meet somewhere in the middle. A big thing our team does to try to avoid this issue is we educate the appraiser before they finish their report. So we're going to give them comps. We're going to talk about the features of the property, and we're going to try to get that appraisal up as high as we can. But then what we do is we negotiate if it does not meet value, and explain that, hey, we sold this house in 3 days, or we had multiple offers, and we try to take a tough line for our sellers so we can net the most money possible. And so although there are transactions that are going to bust, and these are the most common issues, the Franklin team is experienced to avoid these issues when we can. And if we can't, it's not the end of the world. We get the house back on the market, and we get it sold again, and hopefully at a similar or better number for our clients. If you have any questions about this topic or others, feel free to reach out to me or anyone at the Franklin team.